Once upon a time there lived a family of mice who lived in the walls of a grand old library. There was Papa Mouse, Mama Mouse, and their children, Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur. The library was filled with thousands of books that stretched from the floor to the very top of the ceilings. The mice loved living in the library. During the day, when the library was busy and full of people, the mice would sleep in their tiny beds made of paper and fabric scraps. At night, when the library was empty and quiet, the mice would come out to explore. Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur loved scampering up and down the bookshelves, sniffing at the pages of the books and crawling in and out of the tiny spaces between the books. But most of all, they loved listening to the librarians read the books out loud to the children who visited the library every day. The mice would hide in cracks and crevices, peeking out to watch the children gathered in a circle, their eyes wide with excitement as the librarian turned the colorful pages and brought the characters to life with her voice. "Oh, if only we could read the books ourselves," said Pip one night as they crept back to their beds. "Just think of the adventures we could have." The others sighed, for it seemed like an impossible dream for simple mice to ever learn how to read. The next night, the three young mice were exploring the library as usual when they came upon the children's section. To their surprise, they found a book lying open on the floor. The book showed the alphabet, with each letter next to a picture of something that started with that letter. "A is for apple, B is for ball, C is for cat," read Pip. "I can read it." The words matched the pictures. The mice were so excited. "Let's look for more books like this one," said Squeak. They searched the children's section until they found books that showed numbers with pictures, colors with pictures, and simple words with pictures. The mice carried the books back to their sleeping corner, eager to start learning. From then on, the three mice worked hard each night to learn how to read. Step by step, they started figuring out how to sound out words using the alphabet sounds. When they came to a word they didn't know, they looked at the pictures and tried their best to figure it out. Soon they were able to read simple books, then longer books. They read every children's book on the shelves again and again, getting better each time. The mice were careful to return each book exactly where they found it so the librarians wouldn't suspect a thing. The librarians continued reading stories out loud to the children, not knowing that once the lights went out, Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur took over teaching themselves to read through the nights. As the weeks went by, a wonderful thing began to happen. The more the mice read, the more they understood the world around them. They learned about science and nature from reading non-fiction books. They learned about people, places, and emotions by reading storybooks. And of course, they learned how to read better and faster. Soon they were good enough to read grown-up books in the main library. "Just think of everything these books know. If only we could share it with the other mice," said Wilbur. The others nodded, for it seemed unfair that they alone had discovered the magic key that unlocked all the library's knowledge. The next night, Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur led all the other mice deep into the library. The three reader mice had filled their pockets with paper scraps and tiny colored pencils. When they arrived in an aisle between two tall bookshelves, they announced, "Friends, we can now read, and we want to teach you." That night, surrounded by books, they began teaching their fellow mice the alphabet and how to sound out words. It was difficult at first, but the mice persevered. Night after night they returned, practicing the sounds and scribbling letters on their scraps of paper under Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur's guidance. After many weeks, the mice could stumble through little readers. Soon after, they were ready for picture books, and finally chapter books. It was working, the mice were learning to read. Over time, all the mice could read. At night, the library was filled with the quiet sounds of mice reading together in corners, on shelves, in window seats. They read tales of adventure, exciting science discoveries, poignant works of fiction, and more. Finally Pip, Squeak, and Wilbur's dream had come true. The mice could unlock the library's treasures on their own. Their world, once confined to the small spaces between walls and floors, was now expansive and full of new sights and ideas. The magic of reading had transformed the mice. One night, the colony was awakened by the sounds of creaking shelves and rumbling. Out of the walls they poured to discover an earthquake shaking the building. The brave mice rushed to wake the librarians living upstairs, who called the fire department just in time. The library was evacuated safely, all thanks to the mice. After that, the mice decided to help out the library when they could. Using what they had learned from their reading, the mice would quietly tidy up books left out by patrons, nibbling apart dropped scraps into dust cloths. The librarians sometimes wondered at these mysteries, but the mice just went on reading through each night in contentment, sharing the joy of books between them. They had shown that with education and perseverance, even a small mouse can learn great things.